I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listen Show. You can subscribe to the show on YouTube. Leave a comment, hit that bell so you can get notified when new shows come out. Make sure you tell everybody about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Marv B. Let's bring the crew in. All right, y'all. So, Chris Rock over the weekend had a live comedy special on Netflix. I don't know. I watched some of the comedy specials that come out on Netflix. Was this the first one that they actually did live? Or had they done this with other comedians before?
I thought I heard him say it was the first live one. I don't recall a live one before.
I think this was like the first live one that they did. This was part of a 2-part deal that Chris Rock had with Netflix. He got paid $40 million, basically $20 million for each show, to put on these comedic specials on network on Netflix. I'm fucking up already. To put on these comedy specials on Netflix. Let's backtrack. So of course we did a show. It was all over social media when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock, right, for making a joke about Jada. Obviously, y'all know me. I am Team Willard Smith. I think Will was in the right. And I believe I was the only one on the show that felt like Will was in the right. Let's level set. Am I correct?
I'm pretty sure I was anti-violence.
Yeah,
publicly.
I'm pretty sure it's not he's not in the right.
So I'm safe to say that I was the only one that was.
Hold on. Let me think of what C would have said. No, she you're the only one. Yeah.
I was the only one. Yeah, which happens often on this show, right? So yeah, so I was the only one that was pro Will. So I'm low-key kind of sick of Chris Rock. Not even low-key, I'm high-key sick of Chris Rock. I never really had an issue with Chris Rock. I remember when he first came out, I never really thought the brother was that funny. I never did. And his specials, I never really liked. There were some things that he did that were okay. I liked some of the work he did on SNL. I like, Everybody Hates Chris and some of his TV shows and even some of his roles in movies. But as a straight up comedian, never been a fan. I'm really not a fan now. And because I'm not a fan, I didn't watch the special. So I'm just going to put that out there. I didn't watch the special. But I know Lab and Enrica, they did. So I'm going to ask them, what did you think when you saw the special? Was it, because a lot of people were like, okay, he's finally going to address the situation. And I don't want you to, get there, because we're going to get there, right? But what did you think about the special, it being the first live broadcast on Netflix? Did it meet your expectations? Did you think it was good? What were your thoughts?
Well, for me, I think Chris Rock is hilarious. He's in my top ranking as comedians. I realize I might be in the minority now with the recent postings made my come back to social media to see all this hate for Chris Rock. But so I started watching the special, but not only is he wearing the same clothes I saw him performing, but he told the same jokes. So I didn't really watch the special. I went to go see him live. I went to go see Rock and Chappelle, and I thought the show was amazing. Laughed the whole time, but of course, But I think that
hold on, that's not out of the ordinary for comedians to work out their material before they record it live. So that's not out of the order.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Even though I didn't specifically watch the special, I know what he said, so I just know it from the live show. But I mean, I thought it was good. I thought it was funny, but so I started liking him when Bigger and Blacker came out. And we went to that show and live, I just thought it was amazing. I think that I don't like slapstick comedy. So like I can't stand Martin Lawrence or Jim Carrey, anything like that. So I just like that he's more political and talks about more social, economic concerns and things like that. I just like his brand of comedy more than just the randomness of other comedians. So maybe that's why. And I'm also not super sensitive. So I'm not crying about him being what some consider to be offensive. So
Okay. Laugh.
Yeah, similar to Arika, I didn't have a problem with that apparently a lot of people had with the special. I mean, it was a Chris Rock special, meaning there were some times where I was actually laughing like this dude is pretty hilarious. And all his specials, there's always a little area in there for me where he falls flat. You know, I'm not gonna say he's in my top 5. I mean, I guess I don't know what my top 5 is. He probably wouldn't be in it, but apparently a lot of people think he's funny, you know, for him to get these deals, for him to be the first one to get this Netflix special. Now, timing is everything. If he hadn't got smacked, he wouldn't have got the special. I mean, I'm a firm believer that he wouldn't have got the two.
I think he would have got it. I think he would have still got the specials. I don't know if it had been a live event.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I think Netflix was banking on him addressing the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yep.
I still think he would have got the specials. He may not have got 40 mil, but you know, he's had enough of a career that Netflix
40 mil. Yeah.
Even though they didn't want to pay Monique. But anyway, we're not gonna go there. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll leave that controversial topic that I'm also alone. So go ahead.
About what?
About Monique not getting paid her work. But go ahead.
Oh, no, that's all I was gonna say. Yeah, I mean, I thought for the most part it was a good special. Again, there were some things that I thought were was all right, but I thought he was pretty funny.
So I didn't watch it. I saw some of the more controversial clips, which we will address. Social media. I mean, you said there's a lot of people that like his brand of humor, which clearly there is, right? If he's getting paid 40 mil, right? My personal opinion, I think that he appeals more to white audiences. Not to say that there are not black people that like Chris Rock, but I think that he is really more of a crossover comedian and not in a good way, in my personal opinion. But a lot of people said they didn't like it, man. They said that it didn't get funny until the last 10 minutes. Now I don't know how long the special lasts, but they said it wasn't really funny until the last 10 minutes. And I think that was towards the end. And is that when he started to address Will and Jada?
Yeah, it was actually the last. I looked on my the slide. I was like, how much? I was like, he only got 7 minutes to go. He ain't even said nothing about it yet, you know. So it was a lot of build up because I mean, like most people that tuned in live, you were wanting to see that. And so it was a very small portion of his act, his performance. But again, to Erika's point, he is more political than just slapstick funny, and a lot of the humor he has is nuanced and things like that. So some people may not like it. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. So he did this show in Baltimore.
That was something I took
that was
automatically.
That was strategic. That was planned.
Yeah, very.
Jada's from Baltimore.
Yeah.
Right? And he addressed the issue. He addressed Will smacking him on stage. What do y'all think about how he addressed it?
I think he did a good job of addressing it personally. I think as a comedian, there's a lot of a lot of what you say is not 100% truth. But there's layers to it. And so he might have embellished some. I really don't know. But I think he did an overall good job of explaining his point of view. And a lot of times when there's a story, there's, like we always say, there's three sides to every story. You know, his side, her side, and then the truth in the middle. So I think he did a really good job of getting his point of view out there. And, you know, yeah, that's it.
I think the title of the show kind of really encapsulates whatever his side of things, because that whole selective outrage thing is exactly what Will did. Like, you're not mad at these hundreds of memes about August Alsina, but you mad at me for making like a
Yeah.
G.I. Jane joke. Like, I mean, I'm a comedian, and all this punching down on Black women, I don't want it to be. I feel like that kind of feeds into the division between Black men and Black women, because now it's like you can't tell us nothing, but sometimes we need to be told. Just like sometimes Black men need to be told. And I'm not saying it needs to be done on a public forum, but I also don't think that every single time somebody makes a joke about us or says something negative that we perceive as negative, that it should turn into this whole internet, let's cancel culture, this or that. Just say you didn't like the special. Just say you didn't
Man.
think the joke was funny. But at the
Right.
end of the day, she looked like G.I. Jane. I mean, is her illness funny? No. But neither are all the other illnesses, and people still, talk about those, maybe not necessarily on the forum that he has, but I think that people still make jokes about different things. I've seen people make jokes about family members with ALS and other things and stuff like that. And it's like sometimes when you're going through it and you're telling your real life or telling whatever your interpretation of real life, you're going to have jokes about things that maybe some people can relate to, and you kind of need to laugh about it because that's all you got left. And then sometimes, people not going to relate to it. And I don't care. I'm hilarious. Just because you don't think I'm hilarious doesn't mean I'm not hilarious. So, I mean, that's just how I feel about comedy. If you don't agree or if you don't think it's funny, then just don't watch. But I don't know what all this, oh, he's punching down on Black women. I hate that term, punching down. Like somebody just woke up one day and decided that the term bullying means punching down, and I just want to punch them in the face because shut up. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know. The visual just drives me insane. And I'm just like, so you're just like, first of all, in order for you to punch down on me, you have to be above me, and no one's above me. So you can't punch down on me. You can disagree with me. You can talk about me. You can say whatever you want to say about me. You can't punch down on me because you're not above me. So I think that sometimes people get into this victim stance and then start to create these words and these like movements based on these like aggressions that they perceive, and instead of just addressing it and saying how they personally feel about it, they want to change it into this whole movement, cancel culture. This person's a horrible person. Maybe he's not a horrible person. Maybe he just told a joke that you didn't think was funny.
So, obviously I disagree with y'all, right? But I wanted you all to be able to expound upon it because y'all watched the show. Y'all watched the show. Y'all like Chris Rock. I don't like Chris Rock. I didn't dislike Chris Rock up until the situation where he made the joke about Jada Pinkett Smith. It was just kind of like, okay, whatever. And to your point, yeah, he's some people consider him funny. I don't, so it's whatever, right? The term punching down, I was first introduced to that because obviously if you're punching down, you can also punch up, right? And I was first introduced to that in corporate America when you're talking about how you address managing issues, managing people. And when you manage a situation, when you are entrusted with some level of power, if you're only able to punch down and beat up on the people who are beneath you, but you're not willing to punch up and use your voice and your platform to talk about people who actually have power, who aren't beaten down by society in general or whatever organization or system that you're involved in, then yeah, you're punching down, and that's cowardly. And I think that Black women are consistently beat up on. The black women's hair is always talked about. It's consistently talked about. how many jokes do you see on the internet where somebody's like pulling off a black woman's wig, or some situation like a brother wearing a wig, making fun of black women. So his joke about, Jada Pinkett Smith, it was inappropriate. I read different stories where he said, I was told not to fight in front of white people. I wish your mom and daddy had told you not to make jokes about black people in front of white people, because I don't do that. I may talk about y'all, but I ain't gonna do it in front of white folks. And he definitely was hypocritical when it comes to that, in my personal opinion. Now, the film or the special was called Selective Outrage. I think it should be called False Equivalence, because you said, "Oh, Will's not going to say anything about all these memes about August Alsina." Guess what? If Will had tried to fight August Alsina or try to react to people making jokes about August Alsina and Jada Pinkett Smith and their entanglement or whatever, then I would agree when people would say, Will, that's weak. Because guess what? You wasn't married to August Alsina. You married to Jada Pinkett Smith. So that's who your beef should be with, right? Now, there was one thing I saw the clip when he was talking about it. He said all of us been cheated on, and none of us been interviewed by the person that cheated on us. That was kind of that was
rough. Yeah,
and it was true. It was true. That's between Will and Jada. Now, did Will kind of play himself by going on that red table and talking about that? I almost think he had to, right? He had to, because they've invested so much into that brand centered around their family. So he had to address it to try to salvage it. And Jada is the person that put him in that position, right? But guess what, Chris? That don't give you carte blanche to talk about that man's wife.
Right. But see, that
don't give you carte blanche to talk about that man's wife. And I said it when we talked about this before. Unless you've been a husband, which I have, you don't understand how it is if you say, you know what, that's my wife. And most men understand that, hey, you can talk about a man's mama. You might be able to talk about his kids. You definitely ain't gonna be able to talk about his wife without putting yourself in severe jeopardy. For real. So what I have done, what Will did, no, I wouldn't have done it. I'd have waited till I caught him on the street, caught him where can't nobody stop me. Probably would have did him some harm. But for people to call him, a bitch for what he did, and for Chris Rock to say that, now you the one that got smacked. Now, I admire your composure, and you're saying I'm not going to respond in this situation, right? Because again, Will did act out of order. He should have waited. I admire that. But then you're going to wait until a year later and then talk about it and say, my parents didn't raise me to do this. Well, your brother was talking about how had he smacked me, I would have fought him. So maybe you got a message that your brother didn't. Right?
Well, this is the thing too, though. And it's a point that I understand everything you're saying. It was something he said in there, and I don't think enough people are saying this. He said that it wasn't about the August Alsina thing. It was about when he was hosting the Oscars before, and Jada was going all public talking about he need to resign. He don't need to be doing that because Will didn't get nominated for this or that. And so to him, that was an attack on his livelihood. And it reminded me straight up of the same stances, when we talk about boycotting anything. There's a lot of Black people that are creative that is literally their livelihood. So when you're saying we need to boycott this, we don't need to support that, then to those people who that's their living, that's what they train for, that's what they've devoted their entire lives for, then you're telling them, I don't care about you. And for some people, it's not easy to just move on past that and say, I'm going to do this, or this might be for the betterment of all people. Because frankly, if something happened at your job tomorrow and they were boycotting and they said, we need to boycott this company, how many of us are willing to walk into that building that day and say, I quit? And so he said that's where it started.
Jada Pinkett say we're going to boycott this award show because Chris Rock is the host?
No, because Will Smith didn't get nominated.
So it wasn't about Chris.
No. She said no. She said Chris Rock doesn't need to host because Will Smith didn't get nominated.
So she was asking for solidarity.
She was asking for
trouble.
Right. She's asking for you. No, same thing. I'm asking for you to put your livelihood down.
So she was asking for solidarity.
No, she's asking for him to give up his livelihood.
Asking for no. Listen, now come on.
No. What do you call it? What do you call it?
We can't all talk at the same time.
So what do you call it then?
I'll let y'all talk a lot, right?
So I didn't talk to her. I waited because I knew that's what you was gonna say. I knew it. That's not solidarity. That's again. Go ahead. What do you call it? What do you call it? What do you call it?
So
no, I'm just playing with you. Go ahead.
So if Jada is saying Chris doesn't need to host, in my opinion, because I'm not in her mind, in my opinion, she's saying Chris doesn't need to host because as a black man, another black man was done wrong. Now, is it her place to ask Chris to make that decision? Does Chris have the responsibility? Does Chris have does Chris owe that to Jada, to Will, or to anybody else black if he feels that it's going to put his career in jeopardy? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. So for him to take that personal, and that's why I'm asking, did she say boycott because of Chris or because Will, and by Will, black people are being done wrong by this award show? There's a difference. So if he takes that personal, right, and then carries out this vendetta by trying to joke her about her hair in front of all these white folks, in front of millions of people on television, he's still wrong.
Yeah. You like what you see, don't you? I know you do. You too can be fly like me and the rest of the Man Listen crew. Grab this merch, check out our link in our bio. Drip. No. Again, I understand what you're saying, but the reason I'm going to call BS on that argument about Jada is because she didn't say that when the other years, when Will Smith wasn't up for Oscars and black people weren't getting nominated, she didn't. So it's not about the solidarity.
That doesn't mean anything. I mean,
they were sitting front row.
How many times have people not said something about the police and then something happens to their family member? Now they said something has to happen. That don't fly.
But they were sitting front row. How you gonna ask me not to host and you sitting front row?
But I said selective outrage, right? That's the name of the show. It was very, very.
Well, he has selective outrage too, right?
He does. Everybody does.
Well, he has selective outrage. Exactly. So, okay, well, we could debate that. But here's my problem. Of many. So you got 40 mil from that.
40 mil.
You got 40 mil. You got 40 mil. And you get on stage, and we talked about it at the beginning of the show. We set this up, right? He got 40 mil because of the whole Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith situation, right? People already look at you side eye. Maybe I do. Maybe y'all turn the blind eye to it. When you're on the special with Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais, and they using the N-word, and you don't say nothing, Chris Rock. Jerry Seinfeld looking more uncomfortable than you are, Chris Rock. You get on the award show, and you sing out a black woman talking about her hair, Chris Rock. And then you get on this special, and you sit there and you call a black woman a bitch. And we really, as black people, are going to sit here and say that's cool, that we're going to condone that? Is it because he got smacked that he's not going to get canceled for that? Because I think if anybody else had attacked a black woman like that, we would have an issue with it. So I'm gonna have an issue with it, and I'm gonna call him out on it. I grew up in an era when if you called a black woman a bitch or a hoe to her face, you'd be prepared to fight her. And if she couldn't get you, she's gonna have her brothers, her cousins, her daddy, or whatever coming at you. So when we're talking about that punching down, that attacking black women, and when people saying we don't fool with Chris Rock, maybe y'all do, but you have to understand when there are people that say, you know what, I don't fool with that dude. How you gonna sit up there and call this woman a bitch? Now he could have got up there and allocated his case. He could have said, this is how I feel about it, and kept it, okay, I'm gonna be a gentleman, I'm gonna be above the fray, I'm gonna say what I want to say. But you get up there and you call that woman a bitch. when really you was the one that got smacked and didn't do nothing.
I mean, but it's his comedy special.
Oh,
And
man.
I've called lots of people bitches because
Hey,
they were acting like a bitch. And I've been called a
I
bitch several
never,
times because I was acting like a bitch. Now I
I
don't
never hear
tolerate it.
nobody.
I hope you're ready to go because I know one
My
thing.
favorite.
One thing about Marvin Austin Banks Jr. I didn't gave my full government name. I ain't no bitch. I ain't no hoe. I don't have no period. I don't have nothing of the sort. I'm a man's man. So if you call me a bitch, if you call my daughters, my mom, my sisters, my cousins, my friends, you call them a bitch, that's a problem. And how are we going to sit here and say we are for enlightening, enriching, and empowering the Black community if we're going to sit here and co-sign a brother who a so-called brother who is saying a Black woman is a bitch on his platform to all these white folks, to all these Black folks who look at him as a celebrity with his influence and then say it's okay. What does that do? What message does that send?
It sounds like
I'm not saying
selective
I'm co-signing.
outrage to me.
How does it sound like selective outrage?
Because
You tell me any other entertainment, that you consume.
How's it selective
Tell
outrage?
me other entertainment you consume that you haven't heard that before. Tell me that Tupac didn't call C. Dolores Tucker that, and nobody says nothing about that. And she was an elder at that point.
I did. We said it on the show.
In '94.
I said in hindsight, guess what? C. Dolores Tucker and what was Calvin Butts? They were right. Now we were young and we didn't know no better. We didn't say anything. But
So
we
do you still
on the show.
Do you still mess with Tupac?
Wait,
though?
1 second. Did I not say on the show that in hindsight they were correct?
That has nothing. That's apples and oranges.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Saying
does.
that they're correct in addressing his particular behavior.
But you sit there and say you use that as an example. As to, okay, this is selective outrage. And I said that your example is wrong because I did call it
my ambitions as a rider.
Excuse me?
You still bump my ambition as a rider, right?
I don't.
You still bump Tupac?
No.
I'm saying. I think it comes.
If it came on, you wouldn't change the channel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just like he said in the thing, some people listen to Michael Jackson still, but don't listen to R. Kelly. Selective outrage,
I get American kids.
Yeah. Oh, again, selective outrage.
The white kid said Mike didn't do it. The white kid said Mike didn't do it. They said their parents told him to say it. And then Chris Rock goes up there and throws another Black man under the bus. You making my case for me.
No. Again, what entertainment do you consume where you have?
No, let's address that.
No. I'm addressing it. Selective outrage. Let's address the selective outrage. That's shake your head because you have no solid rebuttal for why you don't take this. You don't have the same fervor, the same intensity with other people and other platforms.
Say something. Name one, because I've already addressed the ones you name. Name one.
Again, any rap, any TV show you watch Snowfall, right? I've never watched the show. I guarantee they call Black women bees on there. I guarantee you. I've never watched the show. You watch all these 50 Cent shows. BMF, whatever. Umar Johnson, I'm sure he's called people B words. I'm sure he's called people N word. And
nah, come on, we ain't gonna throw Umar.
No, I'm just simply saying that your selective outrage is showing. Chris Rock was right. No. Admit it.
No, he was not right.
Admit it.
Point is that you just don't like him. And we allow certain things from people that we like, and we don't allow from people that we don't like.
I know you're feeling the show, but picture your ad right here. If you want to advertise with us, hit up the link in our bio, and we'll get you on the show.
And that's where the selective outrage stems from.
You all have mastered doing. This is what you all have mastered doing. I called out a specific action, a specific thing that Chris Rock did. Actually, more than one, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Chris Rock right now, right? We're talking.
I like to be consistent.
Man. One second. We're talking about Chris Rock right now, right? So to sit there and say, "Oh, but what about this? What about that?
Yes.
What about this?" You know who you just like? You just like them Fox News
Yeah.
fuck faces. That's their main game. Well, what about this? Well, you can't talk about Trump. What about Clinton? What about this? No, let's address the issue that we are talking about. We're talking about a black man who got up there, used his influence and his power to degrade a black woman, not just once, but twice.
Who came for his livelihood.
And how are we, as people who say we want to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother, sister under the sound of our voice, sit there and say, that's okay? Y'all haven't addressed that. The only thing y'all said in response to that, what about Tupac?
I said it's selective.
We can play the tape. We can play the tape.
We can play it.
You said, I never said Tupac.
I never said it was right. What I said was just selective outrage.
You say it was wrong.
What I'm saying is I'm a man of consistency.
You didn't say it was wrong.
I'm a very pragmatic person, and I like to be consistent in dealings with all of my actions and interactions with everybody, consistent across the board. So I'm not going to accept one thing from you and not accept the same thing from somebody else. That's how I am. If you don't feel that way, say it then. If you don't like consistency, say that then.
Thing.
If you like selective outrage, say that then.
Selective outrage is the point that keeps proving itself.
Wait. Is it wrong?
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's comedy.
Exactly. It's not wrong. It's
comedy. And I wish people would stop crying about comedians. That's exactly what Dave Chappelle said. He said, I'm you. If I say the wrong thing, you're going to cancel me. It's comedy. He's supposed to get you thinking about social, political topics. And my thing is, he don't like her. We don't know what their relationship is, whatever that situation is. I'm not going to not do my creativity the way I'm going to do it because I'm worried about what somebody else is going to say. You don't like my book? Don't read it. Don't buy it. But I'm not going to change it to appease. I cannot appease everyone. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't off one of the people that I know in real life. I've off several people that I know in real life in my books. So if I get on stage and read about murdering these Black people, doesn't mean I don't care about all Black people under the sun. It means in my creative moments, I created a story where some of them had to go. So, I mean, sometimes you have to call a spade, even when they're Black. And if that's how he feels, she is one of those people that is like, she has people very polarized. There are a lot of people in support of her, and there are a lot of people opposed to her. So a comedy special that addresses his stance on that, to me, doesn't bother me. I'm not saying him calling her a bitch is right or wrong. I just don't care. I think that people are selectively outraged about things that, you know what I mean, comedians say or do, or people that are celebrities, what they say or do. We put a whole lot of weight on that, and then we don't hold that same accountability to the people in our lives, our friends and our family members that we're sitting next to. I've seen Black men call chicks bitches. We didn't all get up and jump them. Like, I fought men, Black men. Didn't nobody say nothing. Like, I'm not about to sit here and be like, oh, these experiences don't exist, or because you're a celebrity, you can't speak on it, or because you're a comedian, you can't joke about it. No, joke about all of that. And I'm not going to sit here and say Black people have to hide in a closet just because they're celebrities and we can't say what we want to say. Now, never let anybody outside the family know your business, but Will made that business public when he smacked them. So now I'm going to say whatever I want to say because now we in the street with it. And if this is his only lick back, then so what? So, I mean, you know what I mean? He ain't no big buff dude. He ain't running around playing Muhammad Ali. He's a little scrawny dude who talks shit about people. That's how he make his money.
What did you say? Sometimes you gotta call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wish you two would do that about Chris Rock. I wish that you two would be more candid about the nonsense that he pulled. Because here's the thing, and I get it, it's good for the show. I get it, but I know were somebody that you didn't say, well, I'm a fan of his comedy, you would go out there and say, yeah, he was wrong for it. Here's the difference. Here's the difference about me. I may be a fan of somebody, right? But I can say when they're wrong. I can say when Monique was wrong, you know. Now, there's some things that I feel that she was right. A lot of people disagree with me, right? I see where she's coming from, but there's things that she has done that goes too far, right? When she attacked DL, his family, and things when they had their disagreement, I said she went too far with that. She was wrong. She was wrong. Now, if y'all want to say, hey, listen, Will was wrong. I'm not about violence. All of this, all the points that you want to make, listen, it's a debate. That's where we stand. But there is no way, and I'm going to go back to it. There's no way that we can say that we stand on these principles of this show and we can condone a black man, a 50-something-year-old black man, going on stage and calling a black woman a bitch. How do you sit there and say, hey, young men, hey, young brothers, respect sisters, respect young black women? Let this 50-something-year-old man get up here and act this way towards a black woman, whether she is innocent, whether she is polarizing or not. It's wrong. And the fact that y'all won't sit here and say that it's wrong, I don't know, man. I still like
it's also what you're doing is you're diminishing his feelings and his experiences as well. At the same token, by saying that his feelings and his thoughts are not valid, and that he doesn't have the right to express himself.
But he didn't have to call a black woman a B. I said the exact same thing when when Gail, Gail King, when she was talking about Lisa Leslie and Snoop called her what, a dog head bitch or whatever. I said the exact same thing. I said I didn't like what she said. I didn't like what she did. But for Snoop to sit there with his power and his influence to call a black woman that is wrong. It's wrong, man.
I'll be honest with you.
Justified. I honestly don't.
It's not justified. It's things I wouldn't. It's things I wouldn't do. But being the pragmatic and logical person I am, there are very few things that are cut and dry, right and wrong. There are things I choose not to live my life. I choose not to do in my life, and things that I do choose to do in my life. That doesn't mean that if I don't do this, it's right. That doesn't mean that if I do this, it's wrong. There's very few black and white, right and wrong things. And that's not something I'm willing to down that hill for and say it's wrong to do this. That's not something I would do.
There's a code that we have or we should have as black people.
But this is the thing. You keep saying we let him. We didn't let him do anything. That's his special. That's his experience. And then you're saying like, you know what I mean? What he's doing is right or wrong. Again, like Lav said, it's not necessarily for us to judge right and wrong. Christians love judging people and then saying they're not judgmental. That is the biggest pet peeve I have with Christians on the face of the earth.
A Muslim can say the same thing. A Hindu would say, no.
That's not my point. I'm saying it's the judgment.
You brought out the religion thing. But if you are black and we're supposed to be, listen, okay, for the betterment of our people, y'all not addressing anything that I'm saying. How do you sit there and say, hey, young man, respect our daughters, but you let this 50-something-year-old man pull this mess and you don't call him out on it? That's trash.
That's not your role. Is not his role. His role is not to address the young black men and tell them not to do that. That's your role.
Right,
so you're asking him to play
on the show that we want our celebrities to use their influence to the best of their ability. So now we don't.
I do.
Unfortunately,
now we don't.
Unfortunately, what we want is not how other people choose to live their life. The way you want your son to live his life is not how he chooses to live his life.
You wouldn't say I can't say it's right or I can't say it's wrong.
No. What I'm saying is
y'all trying to be Switzerland, and that's the problem. We got to call people out.
It's not about that. It's about letting people live their lives the way they see fit and the way they choose to live their lives. If that's how you want to live your life, let him live his life like that. Then yes, you have the obligation, if you feel so led or so compelled, or the duty to tell other people, hey, don't mess with Chris Rock. Then that's your role in this situation. Yes.
Right, let's circle back. I brought up religion, not to say that different religions don't feel some type of way, don't have a voice, or there's no unity there. What I said is what Christians love to do is say, judge not, lest you be judged first, and then be first in line to pass judgment about what's right and wrong in somebody else's life.
And I say that about the not right, not wrong stuff. And I'm probably the staunchest Christian on here. I mean, seriously, but in my beliefs, that's not that has no bearing on your Christianity.
I don't even care.
You know, I'm just saying, you know, but I feel
I just think that
honestly
people
that tangent just you know, not to be just
no. I just think that judgment either way.
I'm talking about us as Black people. I'm talking about as a Black community.
You
Black
want
Muslims,
every Black person to
hold
think
on,
like
hold
you.
on 1 second. I'll let you finish. Black Muslims, Black gays, Black Christians, Black Jews, whatever. I hate when folks say, I think this is one of the dumbest fucking statements that's ever made. If we ever put this in our lexicon, something bad needs to happen to them. Black people aren't monolithic. Yes, we have different ways of living. We have different belief systems or whatever, but the constraints, the oppression that the dominant society puts on us, yes, we are monolithic. We are all we got. We are. And to sit there and allow this, how did we say, yo, let's protect our Black women, and then you allow something like this to happen? And when I say you, I'm speaking in general. And I know y'all not going to answer that question.
Yeah, no, I understand.
We go around. Right.
It's a circle. Everybody's dug in.
But I definitely want people who watch this show to really think about what I'm saying. You know, they had.
I can't think about what I'm saying.
You remember the verses, because I don't agree with what you're saying. Here's the piece. Here's the piece. Let's bring this up. You remember when they had the versus battles during the pandemic?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Ja Rule went against Fat Joe, right? Ja Rule brought out Lil Mo. Ja Rule brought out Vita. And what did Fat Joe do? He said, "Hey, you need to feed him something about you need to get him, give him some more food or give him some more money or whatever." And he called them bitches.
Mm-hmm.
He called them bitches. Ja called him out on it. Many people in the Black community called Fat Joe out on it, right? Now, a lot of people say Fat Joe was a culture vulture. You got some people on the East Coast that say, hey, in New York, some of the Latinos, they were influential in hip hop as well. But a lot of people say Fat Joe was a culture vulture. But most people said, how do you let this 50-something-year-old Puerto Rican, Cuban, whatever he is, call Black women bitches on a national program? And you know what Fat Joe did? Fat Joe said, you know what? I'm sorry. I love my Black queens. I was wrong to do that. How does Fat Joe have the wherewithal to do that? Chris Rock don't. And we say it's okay.
So this is my
But anyway, I think we talked about it enough.
Here you go.
I think we talked about it enough.
Yeah, we can be here all night, dog.
Right.
We can be here all night.
Because y'all wrong as hell. But because I'll say that. we talked about it enough. Make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at manlistenshow. Yo, leave a comment. Do you agree with me or do you agree with Arika and Lat? Let us know.
I don't need your likes. I don't need your validation.
I do. Because we trying to grow this show. I need you to back down, good man. So please like the show, share the show, and let everybody know about the Blackest Radio Show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
At me when you say Marv wrong.
Shout out to you.